Hey, how are y'all doing? Introduce yourself to me. We got Austin and Frank now. Where are y'all at? Judy's coming on. Slowly people will start coming on. This is the beginner investor training session. Okay, I'm Stacy Rossetti. If you don't know who I am, introduce yourself to me. Let me know where you're at. Let me tell you. Let me know what you're interested, what you think you're interested in investing in, and maybe you just have no idea what you want to get invested in. I'm Stacy Rossetti. If you guys don't know me, I know there's a lot of new people always joining every day. We have a couple people joining, which is awesome. Hey Judy, how are you? Remind me where y'all are at. Remind me kind of where y'all where y'all are at, what y'all are doing, what you're learning. Tell me anything about REI USA. Which training sessions have you been to that you're like, yes, this is what I'm going to do? This kind of stuff. All right. Okay. Frank is in Raleigh. I'm not a new investor, but I thought I'd drop in. Good. Tell me about yourself, Frank. I want to know. And actually, y'all can all, if you want to talk, you can talk. I can allow y'all to talk. Introduce yourself. We have such small groups right now. So REI USA. We've been around for 4 months now. And, I just launched this thing 4 months ago. So you guys are like, everybody that's kind of like the founders, we're going to consider y'all the founders of REI USA. And like all the founders, you guys kind of have it special because we have like a ridiculous amount of teachers and you get to come to all these classes and you can just like talk to us. Once we start getting huge, which I promise we are, then it's gonna be harder to have like, everybody unmuted and stuff like this. So ask away while y'all are getting started. You'll have like special access to all these awesome teachers and coaches and stuff. Introduce yourself to me. Anybody?
Austin? Hey Stacy, what's up? My name's Austin. I'm calling from Redondo Beach, California, just south of LA.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Are you like a newbie or have you done some deals before?
I haven't done any deals. I've been educating myself like crazy over the last several months to a year. As soon as I say the word Los Angeles, everyone's just like, oh, that's a big barrier to entry. You need to save up a lot. So as that's been happening, just been educating myself as much as possible. I didn't know you guys have only been around for 4 months. That's really cool. I'm glad that I'm in on the ground floor with you guys.
Yeah, you're a founder. So what are you like? What kind of deals what are you interested in doing?
Out of state buy and hold residential real estate up to 4 units just to stay in the residential field for the time being.
Or anywhere?
Anywhere at this point.
Okay.
I've been looking at several different markets around the country, but really you and your company and your name come with what you do with storage units. That's going to be my eventual phase 2 on top of the residential side of things. So like I said, I'm just here to learn as much as possible.
Yeah, I meet once a month for storage as well. So make sure you hop onto that. At least you can kind of start educating yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Connecting the dots a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for hanging out and supporting us. And
thanks for having me.
I will see if we can help you in the California area, even if you don't want to invest there. I mean, I have my coach that I actually coached me when I was a beginner lived in California and invested in San Antonio.
Oh, wow. Yeah, San Antonio is one place that my wife and I are looking actually, and then a little bit north into North Texas. But that whole hill country right there, San Antonio up through Dallas, is somewhere that has our eye.
Yeah, I'm originally from Austin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
very
where
cool.
I grew up. And we're actually, I think we're thinking about moving back to Austin, which is not a place that you really want to be buying properties at right now. It's like way too expensive.
Yeah, I have a couple close friends that live in Austin, and that's how we got kind of focused on the area of Texas in general, but quickly realized that we kind of missed the boat for investing in Austin, it seems.
Yeah, you don't want to invest in Austin right now. I know. Unless you want to build from the ground up.
No, not necessarily. I don't think I'm ready to take on something like that while being a remote investor out here in California.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can figure out some other markets for you while we go through the night, or go through the day. Who else wants to introduce himself? Dana, you're unmuted. Introduce yourself to me.
Hi, I'm Dana. I'm from Dallas. And well, actually, I'm originally from Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, but I've been here in Dallas since 2007, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Still new. I consider myself still new to the to the real estate investing world. I was laid off from my W-2 back in November of last year. I was working at a commercial real estate company, but I was working in the back office. So I was working as an analyst on the systems that support the employees' data, all of their data and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to this journey, and still trying to really figure out my niche. I've been part of REI USA since probably January, February timeframe.
Which sessions have you gone to that you like?
Many,
I know, that's the thing
including
with real
recon. Okay, it
I
was
know.
like,
That's the thing with real estate. It's like everything you're like, ooh, that's a good idea. That's
I
hard.
know. It's just like, you know, I
You
was
like
trying to.
know everything now, because when I got started, all I knew about was like rehabbing. That was it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because my brother-in-law just asked me yesterday. He was like, "So, what are you doing now?" I said, "I'm real estate investing." He was like, "Okay, so you're not going to get your license?" I was like, "You don't need a license to be a real estate investor and everything." And then it just dawned on me. I'm like, I really was looking to just do something immediate to start building capital. So, I guess I was looking kind of at the wholesaling, but I haven't been able to get any deals through wholesaling. You know, I've talked to a few
Well,
people.
are you focusing on wholesaling residential?
Um,
Because that's probably why you should look at wholesaling. You need to be wholesaling the properties that people are buying right now.
and what
That need work, that need something to be done to them.
okay.
Right? So for
So
instance, like everybody's interested in short-term rentals right now.
okay.
Right. So so you should be focusing on like, something where you could wholesale it to somebody for them to have it as a short-term rental. And it shouldn't, in that short-term rental, you don't want it to have a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right. And you can look in like vacation areas. Like I know you're in Dallas now. So like, is there any areas that you could be in? Dallas is like also like the fastest growing place. I mean, it is not a place to be investing in real estate right now.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find good deals in Dallas. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the country.
It is. But they have pockets here, of areas where you can possibly get some properties to wholesale that could be
I
short-term
think
rentals,
you should
but
be thinking more for Dallas tertiary market. And this is exactly for Austin as well, too. You have to find tertiary markets. Okay. What's a tertiary market?
so are those markets that are not necessarily within immediately in Dallas?
Yeah. So you have you have primary, and then you have secondary, and then you have tertiary.
Okay.
This is actually from the commercial side because I'm a commercial investor, right? But you want primary is going to be like Dallas, Fort Worth is a primary market. I mean, you can't get anything for super for cheap anymore, right? And so this would be Dallas, this is LA, right? This is Raleigh, this is like Raleigh area, right? And then you have the secondary markets, which is all of the suburbs that are surrounding all those areas, right? This is secondary market, right? And I don't know y'all suburbs or whatever, but like, I'm talking about the burbs, right?
Well, like McKinney. Actually, I live in McKinney, which is in the suburbs of Dallas.
It's a suburb of Dallas, exactly. You're like north of Dallas, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I'm kind of, because I've been kind of like, I have a student that lives in Dallas and is focusing on Lufkin.
Who? Oh, Lufkin. Okay, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a tertiary market. All right. So tertiary markets are like outside of the secondary markets. Okay. Right. And so that is where I think people like us, need to be focusing right now. My students are getting awesome deals right now in the tertiary markets. Tertiary markets, and this is all based on population. Right now in Georgia, you have essentially Atlanta, and then you have like all the suburbs of Atlanta, right? And then outside of Atlanta, I mean, essentially Georgia is like 80% tertiary market. Okay, because you only have like Atlanta, then you have Augusta, which has like maybe 75,000 people or something like this, or 100,000 people. Columbus has like maybe a couple 100,000. Savannah is like a bigger town, but Savannah is also not very big. I mean, it's like it has a little tiny primary area, a bigger secondary area, and then like all of Georgia is considered like tertiary market. So I do all of my deals are all in tertiary markets right now because that's all I can afford. I can come up with couples of hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever, right? And so y'all should think about the market in terms of where are the tertiary, especially if you're living in like big cities that are just going nuts with, real estate, which is basically everywhere, right? Except for smaller cities like Lufkin, or like I'm buying right now a storage facility in a town in Georgia called Americus, Georgia. It has like 15,000 people in it. And it sounds like a small town, but like it's really not that big of a town. I lived in Peachtree City, Georgia, which is in like a secondary market. It has 30,000 people in it. Like all these burbs, the burbs are usually going to be like 30, 40, 50,000 people, anywhere from 20 to 50,000 people of a major city. So what I'm saying is consider, and this is what I tell my students, consider population as one of the key indicators of where you decide where you want to invest. And look at populations of towns and cities in your area that are like maybe 20,000 or less. And focus on those. And I'm telling you, they are growing at phenomenal rates right now. Right? Because all these people from Dallas are moving outside of Dallas, not into secondary markets, because all these secondary markets are all moving to tertiary markets. You know what I'm saying? People are moving out of the big cities now because you can be so virtual. So consider towns that are, anywhere from 10 to 30,000 people. Has anybody ever looked, like pull up your state, the state that you live in, right? And then search population by city in California or North Carolina, or Judy, where are you at? In Ohio. And Ohio, pull up like population of where you're at, and then start looking at the population, the towns. I mean, you're going to surprise yourself with cities that you've never even heard of that are between 20 and 50,000 population, or whatever it is for your area that would be considered. I could go into a secondary market in Georgia because secondary markets are really not that big. Austin could not go into a secondary market because secondary markets are probably hundreds of thousands of people, and the bigger cities are, huge or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like he's going to have to be in a tertiary market. So my suggestion is to pull up population by city, put them in the order of from smallest to greatest number, and then search those populations that are between 20 and 50,000 and see if any of those cities are anywhere near you. Now, does it have to be near you? No, right? And you could do this for any state. If you don't want to be in California and you want to go to Nevada or Arizona or Oregon or Idaho or wherever you want to go, Austin, right? But you organize it by population number, like the number, and then you start really researching the 20,000 to 50,000, or if you want to be in secondary markets, do 50 to 100,000, and kind of just see and feel out how is the population of your town, of your state looking, or your area looking, and where are those towns that nobody's focusing in right now in your area? Because I'm going to tell you they are. Tyler, Texas, somebody just picked up a Tyler, Texas in my group. Somebody picked up a Lufkin, Texas. People are just, we're in either secondary or tertiary markets, and mostly tertiary markets right now is where we're at, is what we can afford. And I'm like, I picked up a storage facility in Valdosta, Georgia. And Valdosta is a small town. I think it's like, I don't know. And if anybody wants to search this, I can't remember. It's like 50,000 people or 60,000 people, something like this. So
what was the name of the town?
Valdosta.
Valdosta, Georgia.
My nephew goes to school there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's got a great university. It's a small town, but I'm telling you, that town, there is so much new construction going on in that town. Everywhere you go, houses are being built because you can build in that town. You can build a 3-bedroom, 2-bath and sell it for 120 to 50 grand. Right? Whereas like you cannot do that in Atlanta at all. You can't do that, those numbers. You know what I'm saying? Houses are going for, when we talk about affordable housing, and you've got to take this into consideration when you try to figure out where you want to focus your energy at in any type of niche that you get into. It's like, where is the affordable housing at right now? Right? Where are people able to afford houses? Definitely not in Atlanta. Definitely not in LA. Raleigh, I don't know, but I'm guessing probably not. Definitely not. It's hard to find houses that are like $200,000 to $250,000. I live in Jasper. It's a town of 6,000 people. And houses are selling 1,400 square foot houses are starting at like 300 grand. It's like crazy. Now this is like super popular area, like north of Atlanta. But when you get away from the Atlanta area and you start looking at these little towns that are like, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people, depending on like where you're located, you will find some like golden nuggets, right? And you can look and see like what the trends are of people of migration patterns. Like over the last couple of years, is it decreasing in population or increasing or just like staying the same? Right. So like Americus, Georgia, like is where we're buying a storage facility. Like Americus, Georgia has been like, for the last 10 years, there's been like 15,000 people. Like it's not growing and it's like a very stable city, and, so there's no like, and I like that because especially in storage, like you just want it to be like, stable.
I mean, do you recommend still targeting residential or looking at something else as far as a better opportunity to wholesale?
I'm talking about, this is tertiary markets you could do anything in.
Okay.
Basically, you could do anything right now. Secondary, tertiary markets, you can get out there. You can still find good multifamily deals in tertiary markets. Just nobody wants to go to tertiary markets. You know what I'm saying? But like you can find good deals in tertiary markets. You can find okay deals in secondary markets. You can't find really any good deals in any primary markets right now. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm running numbers for my students. Like I had a student that just called me up. It's a fourplex for $350,000. It makes $1,000 it takes $1,000 per unit per month, right? So it was a $350,000 $350,000 fourplex. We can run the numbers. I'll show you that. It makes $1,000 a month times 4. So it's $4,000 a year. It's an okay deal. I'm going to tell you, it's an okay deal. It's in a secondary market. It's a secondary market. It's a suburb of Atlanta. Okay, so it's $4,000. So basically what I would do when I get a deal like this is I would take my phone, because like I don't, I just make everything easy. I have on my phone, I gotta take my glasses off, a cap rate calculator, right? Because we're doing like multifamily, so you want to do cap rate, right? And it's just, all it is a cap rate calculator app that looks like this. Okay. And it's got purchase price, gross rental income, vacancy rate, and operating expenses. So you need to know purchase price, income, annual, vacancy rate, percentage, and expenses, annual expenses. Okay. So purchase price, we already know, 350 grand. And then the income is 48 grand, right? We know that. I'm just doing it into the cap rate calculator. Everybody should have a cap rate calculator on your phone, right? Okay.
You just got
Whether or
that-
not you know what cap rate is, just put it on your phone.
Okay.
Because guess what? At the bottom of this thing, it tells you what cap rate is. Cap rate is the net operating income divided by the purchase price. It has it right here. It has a little formulas and everything for you. So you can kind of start, learning about it that way as well too. But you can always just plug the numbers in. And so I have the vacancy rate. I just have it as 8%. I mean, it's full, but you want to give yourself some contingency and stuff or whatever.
Is 8% what you typically use for that number when running?
Anywhere from
numbers?
3 to 8%, depending on what you want to do. It's a fourplex, so I would kind of lean higher than lower.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But if it's
Right.
just a rental and you want to know the cap, and you can calculate cap rates on rentals. All it is just purchase price, income, vacancy rate, and annual expenses, right? I was talking to one of my realtor friends, and no offense to realtors, but one of my best friends in Atlanta, and she's like, not in Atlanta, I'm sorry, in Austin, because we were looking. I've been looking to buy in Austin for 3 years because I'm originally from Austin. I grew up in Austin, and I want to move back, but I've been looking for years. And she's saying that she's a realtor. She's representing people that want to come in and invest in Atlanta. And they would go out and buy $250,000, $300,000 houses and make $400 a month for me. And that was net 400. And I just thought that was mind boggling, honestly. I was you could come at that point, you could have came to Atlanta and bought 5 houses and made $400 a month on those. I told her that, and I would run the cap rate. Say you can't, that's it's 6 cap. Who's going to do that? But people were doing it, So anyways, purchase price, annual income, vacancy rate, annual expenses. Annual expenses are depending on how big your property is. You calculate on average 30 to 35%. Now, if you have super huge, big multifamilies and stuff, they'll probably go up to 40%. But we just find something we little people, we can buy some little houses, right? So 30 to 35%. So you just calculate of the annual income, I always just calculate 30% of the annual income is what I do. All right, so 40, what's 30%? That's $12,000, right? Let's put 12,000. It's going to cost you $12,000 a year to have this $350,000 property that you're making $48,000 on. Basically is what it is, okay? So then you calculate that. That's a 9% cap rate. That's a 9% cap rate. All right, that's a good cap rate for a small multifamily. All right, has anybody done Yukiko, her training yet? Because she's doing multifamily now. If you want to learn, she owns a ridiculous amount. She's gonna be all quiet about it, but she owns a ridiculous amount of houses. I think 300. 300. Yeah, isn't that awesome? I have the best teachers. Okay, so primary is going to be anywhere on the cap rate. On your cap rates, right? Primary is going to be 4 to maybe 7%, depending on where you're at. Right? And this is all multifamily commercial. So multifamily primary downtown Atlanta could go 4, 5, 6%. Before, I know people that are I have Joe James. Did you guys see Joe James the other day? He did the deal analyzer. If y'all missed that, y'all need to go back and watch that. But because he is probably one of the smartest people in the real estate industry. This guy is amazing, and he buys large multifamily is what he does. But he was teaching how to analyze deals. He's going to do multifamily, and then he's going to do rehabbing, and then he's going to do rentals, and he's going to teach how to analyze those. It's a 3-part series, so he's not a real teacher, but he's just going to come in and she's special guest teacher. I convinced him to come be special guest teacher. Anyway, so cap rate for primary is 4 to 7. He just picked up 2 multifamilies, 150 to 200 doors. And he said he paid no more than 6%, between 5 and 6%. And I can't remember where he bought them, but they were maybe Kentucky or something. I'm not sure. Secondary cap rates are 7 to 9%. 7 to 9. Okay. And then tertiary would be maybe 8 plus. Okay. You might do, I mean, there might be a 6 in here, but honestly, I wouldn't do 6% for a secondary market. But in some really high, like New York, maybe, or LA, you're going to be like these huge, big primary markets are going to be on the lower side. When you're in a primary market and it's Savannah, you're most likely you're going to be on the higher side of the primary number. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the more people that live there, then the higher, I mean, the lower the cap rate's going to be. Okay.
Is Savannah considered a secondary market?
So the way that cities work is like if it's a larger city, there's always a primary market, which is like the downtown area. So you could go like downtown Savannah and you're going to see like huge big apartments and big buildings and all this kind of stuff. That'd be like a primary area. And then maybe the outskirts of Savannah could be a secondary area, but it could be primary too, you know. It all depends on like, you know, what you want to pay for the deal. Some people are like, no, I'm not going to pay, like, I'm not going to do that for a primary. I'm going to pay that much, right? But some people are like, everybody's risk level is different. You know what I'm saying? So like, so when you run these numbers on this $350,000 deal, it's coming out to a 9% cap rate. Did y'all all get this when y'all ran that number? Did anybody run it?
I did not.
Nobody's running my numbers. Okay, so on the cap rate calculator, you see how I put it? It's I have purchase price, annual income, vacancy rate, and expenses. That's it. 4 things is what you need. Plug it in, and it came out to 9.89% cap rate. All right, so when you say, okay, great, 9% cap rate, what the hell does that mean, right? So now you kind of have an idea about primary, secondary, and tertiary markets, and you can easily run your numbers and see if it's a good deal that way. You know what I'm saying? So now you know, like, if it's a primary market versus secondary or tertiary, what the cap rate should be. Is it a good deal? So obviously, this is a secondary market. It's in a suburb of Atlanta. It's a secondary market, and it's a 9% cap rate. That's a good cap rate on a secondary market. So like I said, it's a good deal. It's a great deal. You know, so I told her, I was like, do it. I was like, I could definitely get higher cap rates in this side of, over here, you know, but now when I talk about cap rates, this is not like a big deal, but like, you know, hedge funds are going to be like in this area, the lower the cap rate, the better. Right. But us little people, we're in secondary and tertiary markets. You know, you want to get your cap rate as high as you possibly can and sell it for as low as you possibly can. Okay, that's basically the purpose of the cap rate. And you're like, and then the question is, what is the appraiser going to use for the cap rate? Because the appraiser is going to run a cap rate, right? The cap rate is going to be probably in the primary market around 6%, secondary about 8%, and tertiary about 10%, or something like this. Or maybe even tertiary between 8 and 10%, maybe 9%. If it's in the middle of nowhere, you know, and you have like if you have I looked at one property where it was like a 6 cap in a town of like 5,000 people. I was like, no lender is going to lend on this. No lender is going to lend on this. You're never going to sell this property. And guess what? He never sold it, you know. So I see Christina saying, looking to partner on properties in outskirts regions of Eastern Washington State. If anyone says cash buyers lined up. Okay. You should post that into the private Facebook group. You know what I'm saying? Post that into the private Facebook group as well, too. Make sure you're taking advantage of everybody that's in the private Facebook group. Everybody's there. They may not be posting, but they're all watching all the feed and stuff. So if you post something out and it triggers them, they'll answer. Okay. Okay, so now you kind of have an idea. Primary, secondary, tertiary. Whether or not you understand cap rate is not a big deal. The question is, most of the good deals that we're going to be able to find right now are going to be in secondary and tertiary markets. It's very hard to find deals in primary markets right now. I have investor friends that have been doing this like since I started in 2010, and they're struggling to find deals. They're struggling to find deals. If they're struggling to find deals, you're definitely going to struggle to find deals. So don't be in the areas where all these investors who know what they're going to be doing, who know what they're doing. Get out of those areas and get into the areas where some investors are like, I don't want to be there because it's a tertiary market. I want to be where the hot markets are or whatever, right? But the truth of the matter is that, first of all, number one, everybody's got to live somewhere, right? Everybody's got to live somewhere, right? And number two, where are the affordable houses at? Where are those? Because I'm going to tell you, in the next year, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening, right? And, you know, it's going to be all about the price range of your house. So right now people are bidding up, and it's hard to, it's in Atlanta. Tell me how it is in your market. In Atlanta, it's hard to sell houses that are over like 350 plus. If you're 350 or less, I mean, it's going off the, you know, it's like crazy. But if it's 350 plus, like people are having a really hard time because number one, the lenders are not lending on these deals. I mean, FHA, the appraisals are not even going through, are you not even working? You know, so you have to have conventional. A lot of people can't put 20% down. You know what I'm saying? So now the question is, FHA is more focused towards affordable housing and getting people into their first home. Where can you get people into their first home if they can only afford, you know, $1,000 to $1,500 a month? That's the question. Where around you is that? And that's where you should be focusing, which brings me back to the populations. Look at the populations of the towns, because if you go towards the smaller populations, you'll be able to find the affordable housing that people are going to want to buy over the next year or two. What do you think? Let me see. Let me put everybody else on that's here allowed to talk, and then y'all can unmute yourself. Does that make sense to y'all? Y'all lost?
Absolutely.
Austin's good.
It's making sense. Yep.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, good. Now that we know, now we have an idea. Do you guys have any idea near you which areas you want to be focusing on? Maybe like now that you kind of have an idea, can you think of any areas near you that you're like, you know what, I never thought about it, but I should focus on it. That's like my student that lives in Dallas. He's like, I never thought about it, but I should focus on Lufkin, and that's where he found his facility. Was like in that area. And then now all of it, he got one under contract. And now all of a sudden, like 3 weeks later, he got another one under contract because it started to click where he should be focusing on the market. Y'all have any suggestions for that? Any ideas now thinking? Anybody want to say something? Crescentia?
Thinking, not,
Where are you
don't
at?
have one. I'm in Durham, North Carolina, next to Raleigh, next to Fairview. So I'm kind of next to some good areas, but I didn't think about like zooming in on one particular, kind of like been what you want to call like hot jumping, like over here and over there, not in one particular area.
That's called farming in the world, right? You need to learn how to farm an area.
Okay.
And that's what I did. Okay. So when I was rehabbing, right, back in the day, like, so here's Atlanta, right? When I first started in 2010, I lived in a little town called Peachtree City. And like, you know, I had no idea what I was doing, right? I was just like, I'm going to rehab some homes, right? And so then I just was like, the only area I knew, because I had only been living in Georgia for a couple of years, so I didn't really know anything about anything at all. And so I was just like, okay, I'll stay within this area. So in this area, this is the Peachtree City area, I started looking out and I started getting a couple deals or whatever. And then I moved over here to Noonan. It's like not very far. This is Noonan. All right, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting some deals. And I was over here and I was like in Fayetteville. And then I was like down here and I was in like this town called Gay. And then I was over here, like in a town called Griffin. And pretty soon, all my houses, it was taking me like to drive to every one of my houses. Even though I was just in the South Atlanta area, it was taking me forever. It would take me like to get from here to here is like with traffic, like 45 minutes. And to here is another like 4. It was like ridiculous amount of time, right? And I was driving around and I had like, at one point I had like 13 rehabs and I was like running around like a crazy person. And I went to a training one of my coaches' trainings, like a 2-day, like a 3-day event or whatever. And I was talking to him, I was like, I feel like I'm running around with like, it's my chicken, like my head cut off like a chicken. I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing anymore. Like I just running around all the time. And he was like, Stacy, he's like, you have to get good at one thing. What's the one thing that you're good at? Right? He's like, if you want to master this, you can't be all over the place. Because like this house here, I'd be doing like a $50,000 rehab, and over here it'd be like 75, and this one would be like, 60,000, and this was like 100,000, and this over here was like, it was like ridiculous amount of rehabs. It'd be anywhere from like 20,000 to 100,000, and it was just all over the place. And my coach basically sat me down and he was like, you can't do it all. And even I thought, well, I'm just rehabbing, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, you can't, even in rehabbing, you pick one thing that you're good at and you focus on that and you get good at that. Right. And I started like, when he told me that, a light bulb went off and I was just like, oh my gosh, you're so right. So what I did is I figured out which house was the easiest house for me to do. And the $100,000 rehabs and like anything over like 75,000, it just took me forever and I was not good at it at all. I did like 2 major rehabs and that's it. Like I was out. I did 1 new construction and 2 like huge big rehabs. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's just not my thing. I was actually really good at doing like a $45,000 to $55,000 rehab. That's what it was. And so I started looking for houses that were $45,000 to $50,000 because I knew that I could be in and out in 90 days in those houses, like just easy peasy like this. I just out of all the rehabs I had done over the past couple of years, I just knew that was the one that I knew was a good one, right? So then, like in this is Atlanta area. And then there was an area in Atlanta that was called Decatur. And it was like when I said I was doing rehabs in Decatur, this was back in the day when people were like, Decatur, oh my God, you're going to get shot over there, like be careful. Like nobody would go into Decatur. And I went into Decatur and I drove around and I was like, this is so bad. Come on. And my philosophy in life is everybody's got to live somewhere. Right. And especially I focus on affordable housing. That's what I focus on. And so I started buying houses in Decatur. And what I did is back when I first started, I was buying houses for $35,000. And then I would put 50,000 into them and I'd be all in at 85,000 and I would sell them for 120,000. That's basically what I did. And my rehab was always right around $50,000. And that was my house. That was my house. That was I first started back in like 2013, 2014. And like people were just like, why are you? And then I started like, I was the only one in that area. And the first house that I did, I crossed my fingers and hoped to die and stick a needle in my eye. And I was like, is this thing going to appraise? And it was like the most beautiful house ever. And I was like, this thing has got to appraise for 120,000. I got it under contract for 120 grand, but it wasn't going to appraise. And I was the first person in almost all of Decatur to be doing rehabs. And so it appraised, we put it under contract and appraised and sold. And after that, I had a comp, right? And I started to so here's the Decatur area. And in the Decatur area, it's just like, this is what it looks like. If you go in Decatur, it's just like this. It's like the most planned perfect, you just go right, left, and there's all these streets. And let's just say my house was like right here, right? I started just door knocking and farming that area, letters. I literally had somebody map this area out. I've had a VA. I said, map every single house in this area, and I want to mail a letter to all of these people in this area. And this was like a whole huge subdivision area, it had like maybe 1,000 houses or something like this. And then I just like mailed out these letters to this area. And guess what? I got like 4 or 5 people that wanted to sell their house. And they were like, one was here and one was over here and one was over here and one was over here. And it was all within like a, like a quarter mile to a half mile radius. It was in my comps. This area is not a big area. You know what I'm saying? And literally my houses, after I got them under contract, they were all under contract for 35 to 40 grand. And all these houses were all exactly same. 4 sides, red brick, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom houses. They're all exactly the same because that's just how it is here, right? And so my system, the way that I ran my business was like this for several years. I bought them for $35,000, put $50,000 and sold them to $120,000. And then all of a sudden everybody started realizing what I was doing, right? And then they started like the prices started going up, right? So then I had to start buying, I went up to 50K. And I put them under contract for 50K. I did a rehab for 50K, and then I sold them for 150K. Every single one of these houses I did, I had 100 houses in 4 years. I made anywhere from 20 to 25 grand on. That's it. And I made 100. I sold out for 150, and that was for like the next couple of years. And then they went up to, and then they started, and this is like, and then I started kind of going out, like Decatur's like a huge big area, if you know what Decatur. So I started going out to little areas over here and all this kind of stuff, so I spread my wings a little bit. Because by that time, I literally in a couple of years, I was the one that like sold the most houses because I ended up having like an in-house realtor. And in one house, she did like 48 sales or something like this. And it was all like within the same area. So, okay, so 50, 50, 150, right? And then it went up to, and then it was 65K plus a 50,000 rehab. Because it's the same house. The rehab's not changing right now. You know what I'm saying? The rehab is exactly the same. So I didn't have to go up that much on the rehab. And then it would be like, I would sell these for 165. And then by this time, Decatur was like popping. Like everybody's like, I'm moving into Decatur, and everybody, all the investors were there. Everybody was in there, and I was out. I was like, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. My limit to buy a house is $65,000. That's it. Where can I find $65,000 to find a house? Guess what I did? I started looking to where I could find houses for $65,000 and do the same exact system because that's my system. I was completely cookie cutter. I did nothing but this over and over and over again for 4 years until I got pregnant. And then I stopped. And this is how I did 100 houses. I was like, how in the hell do you do 15 rehabs at the same time? My rehab was exactly the same every single house. My scope of work, it took me 5 minutes to write. Nothing changed. We got so good at this area, farming this area. I knew this area like the back of my hand. You told me a street, I was doing blind offers. You told me a street, I knew how much it would be, and I just put an offer in. I was doing 20 offers a day towards the end. Because I farmed the area and I knew it so well that was my area. And this was in the city, right? Because this is when everybody was moving to the city. Everybody wanted to be in the city, right? And everybody wants to get the hell out of the city, right? So the question is, can you do this in smaller areas, tertiary markets? And the answer is yes, because guess what? Valdosta, you can still buy houses in Valdosta for anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000. Because I went to Valdosta and was looking. I was like, I stayed in an Airbnb and I looked up the information. And I was like, how much did they buy this for? They bought the house for $19,000. So there's areas that you can do this in. There's definitely areas that you can be in. It's called tertiary market. And there is so much opportunity in tertiary market that I think you guys should just be open to looking at that. Wholesaling in that land, in that area, rehabbing in those areas, because that's going to be the affordable housing areas of the next couple of years. What do you think?
Wow, I need you in my life.
My thoughts exactly.
I just shared with you all my secret sauce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you what you had said. Okay, I also was thinking about what I wanted to do affordable housing in areas where others may not want to go, but I was told no, not to do that. It's not good to
Who
go
told you
into.
that? Was it like somebody that's actually doing deals?
Yeah, I assume so. I did a.
Anybody that's out there and anybody that's actually knows what they're doing is going to tell you not to invest in affordable housing.
And I was shocked. I was like, okay, that's why I wound up flipping my plan. And okay, I said, well, let me just go into short-term rental and just put my stuff, not to just back away from something, but just let me just go into another area. But what Stacy, what you just put up there and everything you just said almost is actually what I want to do. What I was told.
Look in military markets, look near military bases, look where, as I said, I already gave you the step-by-step process. Number one is looking at primary, secondary, and tertiary markets in your area. Number two is looking at the populations and try to figure out what that population is, right? That is the perfect population for affordable housing. And then once you figure that out, now you've honed in on those cities, focus in on those cities. And then, and the cities, focus in on them, the area that you want to focus in, and then just farm that market.
Got you.
And it doesn't matter if you rehab or wholesale, or if you do short-term rentals, whichever niche you end up doing as your exit strategy, this will work. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Frank? You're an expert. You've done some deals. What are you thinking? I'll put my glasses on so I can read. That's what I've been doing. You just gave me confirmation. Good, Judy. Awesome, Frank. I agree. He's like, I agree. So much enthusiasm. Just taught my heart out. Okay, good. What else? Okay, so now y'all have a process, a step-by-step process. Your homework till next month is to try to figure out which markets you want to be in and start really honing in on and focusing and trying to figure out. Now, everybody's always asking me, like, what should I be focusing on? Right now, my personal opinion is you should be focusing on which areas, which markets you want to be in, so that you can start marketing. Anybody knows if you are not marketing, you are not going to find any properties to buy. You cannot go online to go find properties. It's like so hard right now. There's too much competition. You have to do sales. You have to go talk to the seller. In order to find properties, you have to talk to the seller. So get over your fear of doing that. But actually, the first step is figure out which market you want to farm. And then after that, just mail your letters out. And that's going to take you a whole month just to do that. That's it. And that's the whole thing. And if you want to buy a list, you could buy a list. Just buy a list or get PropStream and then figure out your area. Right. And then get into PropStream, put your zip codes in and like create a list. PropStream, if you don't know, allows you to create lists. And PropStream, if you go to the partners page in the members portal, PropStream is right there. You get the REI USA discount if you don't use it. I like PropStream because PropStream, you get to create your own lists. If you're not like a create your own list type of person, then talk to our list brokers. Karen Anderson is a list broker and Deanna Britt is a list broker. And they're sponsors of REI USA. Okay. But you got to figure out which markets you're going to be in, figure out which areas you're going to be in, and then hone in and farm those areas and get to marketing. Your goal is to be marketing. You will not find any deals unless you're marketing. No matter what deal it is, land, storage, short-term rentals, residential, small multifamily. Okay. All right, cool. What else? Any other questions, final thoughts, challenges I can help you with until the next month?
Can you wholesale storage units or storage?
You can wholesale anything. Any type of property, you can wholesale it. You just have to know how to wholesale that specific property and how to run deal analysis on that property. That's the hard thing. So if you can wholesale land, yeah, how do you run deal analysis on land? How do you know how much it's worth? You can wholesale storage, but you got to learn commercial deal analysis. You can wholesale small multifamily, large multifamily. Running small multifamily deal analysis is completely different than large multifamily deal analysis. You can wholesale residential. You can wholesale houses that have tenants in them. That's turnkey property. You can wholesale houses that can be short-term rental. So once you learn to wholesale, which I truly believe is the foundation of every investor's business, that's why Mike is offering his wholesaling class for free and teaches twice a month so that you can learn to wholesale. Once you learn how to wholesale, you can wholesale any property, except for you just have to learn how to do the deal analysis for each niche.
And Mike goes over each of those in his program.
Mike wholesales residential.
Okay.
You can, but go to each niche and Mike teaches you how to wholesale, right? But, and he'll do like rentals and short-term rentals, but like Mike McKenzie would teach, how to wholesale land.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I would teach you how to wholesale self-storage. Yukiko could teach you how to wholesale multifamily. Everybody, whatever their niche is, they can teach you how to they can teach you how to do that specific deal analysis, is what I'm saying. Because every single niche is completely different. Wholesaling, the fundamental basics of wholesaling is completely the same. Basically, you're trying to find a seller to sell you a property, and you're trying to find a buyer to buy the property, and you're the middle person in the middle, right? And you make a cut from that. That's really what wholesaling is, right? But you have to learn how to run deal analysis on each property. So pick one property, one type, whichever one that is, learn to wholesale that, get good at that, and then once you master that, go to the next type.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mike's class is this Friday. Yeah, Mike Watkin teaches every other Friday evening. He is awesome. He's just one of the best guys ever. Mike McKenzie is the land guy. He does once a month as well.
I've been to both of their classes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, Mike McKenzie, nobody knows is Mike McKenzie. He does a lot of deals every single month. He does hundreds and hundreds of transactions a year. Cynthia?
No, I was just saying both of their classes are nice. I've been to both of them as well.
Good. Okay, good. Any other final thoughts, challenges, anything you need from me? I will meet next. I'm always here at Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, and I don't know what my next session is. I think actually next session is virtual speed networking. So this is where everybody gets to meet each other, and y'all start learning who you guys are, each other, so that y'all can start wholesaling to each other and doing deals together and partnering and this kind of stuff. That's what virtual speed networking is about. So getting to know your community. Yes, Christina says.
And when is that?
That's next Tuesday. So I'm always Tuesdays at 5 o'clock Eastern time is where you're stuck with me. So we're going to do I want to meet everybody because I've met y'all like 100 times and I still it doesn't.
We're blessed with you.
Yes. You're not stuck with me. All right, I'm here for you guys. If you need anything, always just post it out in the private Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
Tag me, and we'll make sure to get anything that you need help with helped. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Take
Thank you,
care.
Stacy, so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.
All right. We'll see you next time. Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Bye, everybody.
bye.